Here is a more in-depth explanation of my Giants deck with Aegar the Freezing Flame as the commander. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls deals excess damage, or is dealt excess damage, not deals, that would be silly. But if it is dealt excess damage, if a giant, wizard, or spell you control is dealt damage to it, this turn, draw a card. So we're going to want to be doing that and drawing cards and getting more cards and casting more spells. So part of the way to do it is we make their creatures weaker. We have Raven form. Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 blue bird creature token. We've got Sludge Monster. When it enters or attacks, put a slime counter on up to one other target creature. When non-horror creatures with slime counters on them lose all abilities and have base power and toughness of 2/2. Polymorphous Jest. Until end of turn, each creature target player control loses all abilities and becomes a blue frog with a base power and toughness of 1/1. And a favorite, Curse of the Swine. X blue, exile X target creatures. For each creature exiled this way, its controller puts a 2/2 green boar creature token onto the battlefield. So now what are we going to do? Well, we're going to kill weakened creatures or use our giants to stomp over other creatures. So we've got the Surtland Frostpire. It's a little expensive. You pay 2 blue and a red, tap it, and sacrifice it. You can scry 2, but it will deal 2 damage to each creature. A little pricey. Don't use it that often, but it's there if you need it in a pinch. Crush the Weak, my favorite after you've turned everybody into pigs or frogs. Crush the Weak deals 2 damage to each creature. If a creature dealt damage this way would die, this turn exile it instead. So you could have a one-sided board wipe there. Magma Giant. Magma Giant enters the battlefield. It deals 2 damage to each creature and each player. A little more on the pricey side than Crush the Weak, but you do get a 5/5 giant out of it. Mism Mortars. Mism Mortars deals 4 damage to target creature you don't control, or you can overload it for 3 and 3 red. So it will deal 4 damage to each creature you don't control. And we're hoping that it does excess damage so we can draw cards. Battle of Frost and Fire. The first part is it deals 4 damage to each non-giant creature and each planeswalker. Its other chapters are you get to scry 3, and the third one is whenever you cast a spell with a converted mana cost of 5 or greater this turn, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. The first part is really what makes it, though. And we're on theme with giants. Thundercloud Shaman. When it comes into play, it deals damage equal to the number of giants you control to each non-giant creature. You got Starstorm. It deals X damage to each creature. Inferno Titan. You can pay red to give it +1/+0 till end of turn, but whenever Inferno Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures and/or players. Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. With the giants, that should be some pretty good damage going their way. Surtland Flinger. When Surtland Flinger attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Surtland Flinger deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. If the sacrificed creature was a giant, Surtland Flinger deals twice that much damage instead. So that's sweet on its own. We do have ways to hopefully even buff that. Maybe even take out a player that way. We have Electro Dominance, X red red. Electro Dominance deals X damage to any target. You may cast a card with converted mana cost of X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Basalt Ravager, or Ravager. When it enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the greatest number of creatures you control that have a creature type in common. Crush Underfoot. Choose a giant creature you control. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature. Fall of the Hammer. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. Again, both of those are very similar, but being giants should do some good damage to other creatures. We've got Burning Anger. Enchanted creature has tap. This creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. So it's still your giant doing damage, hopefully excess damage to creatures. We've got Squash. Costs 3 less to cast if you control a giant, and it deals 6 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Cinderheart Giant. When it dies, it deals 7 damage to a creature an opponent controls. Unfortunately, chosen at random, but hey. And we've got Bone Crusher Giant. It's got 2 things on there. You could cast the instant Stop, sending it on an adventure. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. When you bring out the Bone Crusher Giant, whenever Bone Crusher Giant becomes the target of a spell, it deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. So we have lots of ways to do damage, and hopefully excess damage to the opponent's creatures. So other things we have to help do excess damage or to take out an opponent is Calamity Bearer. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to the permanent or player instead. We've got Toralf, God of Fury. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Toralf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. So you could do it to the player, or you can do, hopefully, excess damage to another creature they control. On the other side, we have Equip Creature as pay 2, tap. Unattach Toralf's Hammer. It deals 3 damage to any target. Return Toralf's Hammer to its owner's hand. So you could potentially bring this out and use this for its 3 damage. Bring it back to hand, and at some point cast Toralf, God of Fury. I usually go straight to Toralf, God of Fury. Unleash Fury. Double the power of target creature until end of turn. You could do that to the creature that you sacrifice to the other giant that will do damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power. To help get damage through to the opponent, we've got Blow Your House Down. Probably better cards, but I think Blow Your House Down is funny. Up to 3 target creatures can't block this turn. Destroy any of them that are walls. We've got a Frost Titan. Whenever Frost Titan becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 2. The part that is important to me is whenever Frost Giant enters the battlefield or attacks, tap target permanent. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. And we have Sleep. Tap all creatures target player controls. Those creatures don't untap during that player's next untap step. So we have a few more miscellaneous giants in here. We've got the War Chief Giant. It's got haste and myriad. Whenever this creature attacks for each opponent other than defending player, you may create a token that's a copy of this creature onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker he or she controls. Exile tokens at the end of combat. We've got Sunrise Sovereign. Other giant creatures you control get +2/+2 and have trample. That'll help with the excess damage and or taking out the opponent. Hamlet Back Goliath. Whenever another creature comes into play, you may put X +1/+1 counters on Hamlet Back Goliath, where X is that creature's power. So with the giants, this card can grow pretty big. And Borderland Behemoth. Borderland Behemoth gets +4/+4 for each other giant you control. Another giant that'll grow big with the more giants you have. And we've got Quakebringer. Your opponents can't gain life, so shut down those pesky life gain decks. At the beginning of your upkeep, Quakebringer deals 2 damage to each opponent. This ability triggers only if Quakebringer is on the battlefield or if Quakebringer is in your graveyard and you control a giant, which you will, being giant tribal. So what else do I like doing in this deck? Well, since we're playing blue, I like to copy things. We've got Mirror Image, Shapeshifter. You may have Mirror Image enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. So basically, for 3 mana, you're going to be making a giant. We have Clone. Clone comes into play. You may choose a creature in play. If you do, Clone comes into play as a copy of that creature. So for 3 and a blue, you get a giant. Body Double. This one's a little more costly. It's 4 and a blue. But you may have Body Double enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature card in a graveyard. So it's a poor way of bringing a creature back from the grave, but it's there. It's probably cheaper than some of the giants. We've got Reflections of Latjira. As it enters, choose a creature type. Giants. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, copy that spell. So a 2-for-1 for your giants. Stolen Identity. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature. It also says Cipher. Then you may exile this spell card and code it on a creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, its controller may cast a copy of the encoded card without paying its mana cost. So create more tokens of your giants. Crackling Counterpart. For 3, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target creature you control. It's also got Flashback. Flashback cost is a little bit high though. We got Trickster's Talisman. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, You may sacrifice Trickster's Talisman. If you do, create a token that's a copy of the creature. Dual Strike, this is for your spells. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost of 4 or less, this turn, copy that spell. And you have Flood of Recollection. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand, and then exile it, or exile this spell. So you could get another shot at crushing the weak or squash. So in this deck too, we have a whole bunch of ways to remove or counter, which I consider removal. We've got Bolt Bend, costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. So you can change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. And it should cost 3 less because giants are usually have high power. Sod Coming, counter target spell. Dissolve, counter target spell. You may scry 1. Dissipate, counter target spell. If the spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Tybalt's Trickery, counter target spell. You could choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. Its controller mills that many cards, then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card with a different name than that spell. They may cast that card without paying its mana cost, and then they put the exiled cards on the bottom of their library in a random order. So you could do this to an opponent, or if you want to take a chance, you could do it to yourself, hoping to run into a giant card perhaps, or a way to cheat giant cards in. That's the Chaos of Red. We've got Imprisoned in the Moon. This is a nice card to shut down somebody's commander. Giant's Grasp. When Giant's Grasp enters the battlefield, gain control of target non-land permanent for as long as Giant's Grasp remains on the battlefield. I consider this removal. You're stealing, but they no longer have it. Stern Dismissal. Return target creature or enchantment an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Sweep Away. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If that creature is attacking, you may put it on top of its owner's library instead. Depart the Realm. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And Perilous Voyage. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. If its converted mana cost was 2 or less, you get to scry 2, but basically you're getting rid of a permanent. And Cyclone Summoner. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, return all permanents to their owner's hands except for giants, wizards, and lands. So this here, one-sided board wipe. Here are a few miscellaneous cards. We've got Giant's Amulet. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 and a blue. If you do, create a 4/4 blue giant wizard creature token, then attach the amulet to it. But I like the equip too, equipping it to Aegar. Equip creature as +0/+1, and as this creature as hexproof as long as it's untapped. Because Aegar is not exactly the highest power and toughness creature, so I usually wouldn't be tapping him unless I've got that one enchantment that you tap and does damage equal to its power to something. We've got Glimpse the Cosmos. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, the rest at the bottom of your library in any order. As long as you control a giant, you may cast Glimpse the Cosmos from your graveyard by paying blue rather than paying its mana cost. If you would cast it this way, it would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. And we've got Wheel of Misfortune. Just a nice wheel to refill your hand, hopefully. And we got Giant Harbinger. When Giant Harbinger comes into play, you may search your library for a giant card, reveal it, shuffle. So you got a tutor here. And we got a few mana things in here. So we got Commander's Sphere. Add 1 mana of any color, sacrifice it, draw a card. We got Darksteel Ingot. Indestructible, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. We got Thrax the Sudden Storm. He's got Flash. Spells you cast with a converted mana cost of 5 or greater cost 1 less to cast. So a little bit of a discount on some of your giants. We've got Stink Drinker. It's a fun name to say, as well as it gives you a little discount. Giant spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Invasion of the Giants. It's got 3 chapters. You could scry 2, draw a card, then you may reveal a giant from your hand. When you do, Invasion of the Giants deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. And in the third chapter, the next giant spell you cast this turn costs 2 less to cast. So there's the little discount there. We've got the Surtland Elementalist. As an additional cost to cast this spell, reveal a giant card from your hand or pay 2. Whenever the Surtland Elementalist attacks, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. Way to cheat in your instance of sorceries. For 3 and a blue, we've got Call to the Kindred. Enchant creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top 5 cards of your library. If you do, you may put a creature card that shares a creature type with enchanted creature from among them onto the battlefield. Then put the rest of those cards on the bottom of your library in any order. Hopefully a way to cheat in giants, as well as Foretold, if you can get this out fairly early. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on As Foretold. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast with mana value X or less, where X is the number of time counters on As Foretold. And you can cheat out some giants. And that is a little more of an in-depth look at the giant deck with Aegar. Thanks for watching. I hope it was informative or helpful, or I hope you enjoyed it.